Hello, friends. Welcome to a new topic today. And in this chapter, let us learn about the important topics about progesterone. So, progesterone can be mainly divided into three different types. There are three different types of progesterone derivatives, which include we have progesterone derivatives, then we have testosterone derivatives, and we also have spironolactone derivatives. All these will work similar to progesterone derivatives. Okay, so if you see progesterone derivatives, examples are hydroxyprogesterone, dihydroxyprogesterone, then we have medroxyprogesterone, medroxyprogesterone, megestrol. All these are the examples of progesterone. Okay, so this progesterone derivatives. Next we have testosterone derivatives. In the testosterone derivatives we have estranes. In the estranes we have norethindrone, linestrenol, alylestrenol. Okay, all these are estrane derivatives. Then we have gonanes. The gonanes include norgestrel, levonorgestrel, dosugestrel, desogestrel, norgestimate, and these also include gestodine. Okay, these are the examples of testosterone derivatives. Then we have finally spironolactone derivatives. So in the spironolactone derivatives we have drosperinone. Okay, so if you see little important properties of these, first coming to progesterone derivatives. So if you see in the I'm sorry, yeah, so in the progesterone derivatives, these progesterone derivatives are poor inhibitors of ovulation. So they cannot be used as OCPs. So coming to testosterone and spironolactone derivatives, they are potent inhibitors of ovulation. So they can be used as oral contraceptive pills, that is combined oral contraceptive pills or mini pills. So progesterone derivatives cannot be used as OCPs, but testosterone and spironolactone derivatives can be used as OCPs. Now, what are the uses of these progesterone derivatives? Uses include one, we have hormone replacement therapy. Then they can be used in premenstrual syndrome, threatened abortion. You can use it. Diagnosis of estrogen secretion, especially within anovulation, amenorrhea. To find out whether the amenorrhea is due to progesterone insufficiency or estrogen insufficiency, you can use this. In this, you give progesterone derivative for 5 to 7 days and then you will stop. So if there is bleeding, then we confirm that estrogen primed endometrium is present. That means estrogen is normal. If there is no bleeding, there is no estrogen primed endometrium, that means estrogen is negative. Then coming to, there will be good effect on uterus should be seen. This will decrease the endometriosis and dysfunctional uterine bleeding and endometrial carcinoma. So in all these situations also you can use these progesterone derivatives. Now, what are the side effects of these drugs? Side effects include they can cause acne, they can cause atherogenesis. So these acne and atherogenesis is due to androgenic effect. So most commonly it is due to estranes. Then coming to breast engorgement can also occur. So this breast engorgement can occur. Then there can be breakthrough bleeding is commonly occurs. Cycle irregularities can occur. Then depression can be there. Decreased libido can be there. Edema can occur. Edema is mainly due to sodium and water retention. Then we can have mood swings. So these are the side effects of progesterone derivatives. Now coming to when we use this progesterone derivatives for long term, they can increase the risk of breast carcinoma and they can also increase the blood sugars. Thus, because of increased blood sugars, they can precipitate diabetes mellitus. Okay, so this is one important thing. Now, once we have learned about the progesterone derivatives, now let us learn about the next important topic, which is about antiprogesterones. Okay, so let us learn about antiprogestogens, right? These antiprogestins are also called as mifepristol and ulipristal. Examples are mifepristone and ulipristal. Mifepristone, that is ONE. So that is mifepristone, which is also called as RU486. Mifepristone is also called as RU486. Mechanism of action of mifepristone, if you see, it is a partial agonist and antagonist at it acts as partial agonist or antagonist at progesterone receptors. So this action varies based on the stages, that is we have in the menstrual cycle we have both follicular stage and luteal stage, and also menstrual stage. So based on the stages it differs. So if you see during the follicular stage first, this acts as a partial agonist during the follicular stage, and because of that it inhibits the LH surge. Okay, because of inhibiting LH surge there is failure of ovulation, whereas in luteal stage it acts mainly as antagonist. So this will also prevent the secretory changes which occur in the endometrium. It will prevent the secretory changes of endometrium. Then it can also block progesterone support. Okay, when it blocks progesterone support it causes increased prostaglandin synthesis. So because of increased prostaglandin synthesis, this will activate the uterine contraction. Okay, prostaglandins will activate uterine contraction. Then after that in the pregnancy also the action differs, especially in the pregnancy. So if you see in the pregnancy, in pregnancy it causes mainly the decidual breakdown, and thus it also blocks the blastocyst implantation. It blocks blastocyst implantation also. In the pregnancy it causes softening of cervix, and thus all these changes, okay, will lead to abortion. So you can use this mifepristone in abortion mainly. Okay, now what are the uses of this mifepristone? So if you actually see the uses of mifepristone, this mifepristone is used in abortions. So this can be used in either medical abortion or surgical abortion. So medical abortion, in this you give 600 milligrams of mifepristone is given, and after 48 hours you should give 400 micrograms of oral misoprostol, or you can also give 1 gram of gemiprost pessary. This will cause medical abortion, induce abortion. Then for surgical abortion, it is used mainly for cervical ripening in the surgical abortion. Then followed by this, if you see, the next important thing is about the it is used in induction of labor. Okay, it is also used in emergency contraception, that is contraception. In emergency contraception also this can be used, where you can give 600 milligrams of mifepristone is given within 72 hours. Then you can also use it as regular contraception, that is in this 200 milligrams of mifepristone is given once a month. Then you can also use uh, for blocking glucocorticoid receptors, and thus it is used in Cushing syndrome. Okay, then what are the pharmacokinetics? If you see pharmacokinetics, it is used orally, metabolized by CYP enzymes, and it is excreted in bile. Okay, it is used orally, metabolized by CYP enzymes, and it is excreted in bile. So the side effects include, most commonly it causes vaginal bleeding, it increases the prostaglandins, This increased prostaglandins, it leads to diarrhea and also abdominal cramps. Then once we have learned about this, then let us learn about the next drug which is important here, that is called as onapristone. So the next drug is onapristone. This onapristone is mainly a pure progesterone antagonist. Okay, this onapristone is pure progesterone antagonist. One more antiprogestin is uleprostol. If you see this uleprostol, it is a partial agonist on progesterone receptors. It is a partial agonist on progesterone receptors, and it and also pituitary. It is a partial agonist on progesterone receptors and pituitary. Because it is partial agonist, it decreases gonadotropin releasing hormone, thus it decreases luteinizing hormone and blocks ovulation, but it does not block glucocorticoid receptors. Uses are, it is used in emergency contraception, and it for 30 milligrams, it is given 30 milligrams in 5 days. And the side effects of this is, this can cause headache, abdominal pain. Okay, so this is about one more, this is about antiprogestins. There is one more and last antiprogestins which is important, that is called as asopresnil. This asopresnil is an investigational selective progesterone receptor modulator, and this is used in the treatment of progesterone sensitive myoma. Okay, so this is about the progesterone derivatives, progesterone agonists and progesterone antagonists. So thank you guys for watching my lecture. Thank you.